this global fight. And it's a good fight. And I want to thank Apne and CAP International for their generous and kind support for me to be here today. It's a privilege. I want to say, I'm lucky. I feel lucky to be alive and breathing. And I shouldn't have to feel lucky about that, but the truth is I do, because many of my sisters in Canada are not. When I was growing up, and pardon me, but I have to refer to my notes, if not, I'll wander off and you'll wander off with me and we'll all be wandering. But anyway, when I was growing up, my greatest fear was that I would be taken from my home. As crazy as my family was, as toxic as they were still my family, and I still belonged to them. And later on in life, I realized that my childhood fear, was deeply rooted in the past of my people. What I learned was that for over 100 years, we were taken from our homes, and we were seized, and we were placed in residential schools. These schools were state-sanctioned, and the sole purpose of these schools was to civilize the savages, these little savages, in essence, to kill the Indian in us. The last school closed in 1996. That's not that far out. That's not that long ago. 150,000 of our children were taken from us. 60,000 of us died in these schools. These schools had children's graveyards attached to them. I don't know any school in Canada that has graveyards on their school grounds. What they stood as were testaments, tragic testaments to the school's lethal intent for us. Either they killed us in the school or they killed us as survivors trying to get through life, right? Our hearts broke when our children were taken from us. The family was torn apart. The fabric of our culture was torn apart. Our hearts are still breaking because our children are still being taken from us. What happened at the onset of the seizure of our children was alcohol was introduced, and it was introduced and we took it as a way to cope with the losses. Too painful to bear. And today, alcohol, introduced by Europeans, is still wreaking havoc on our culture, from cradle to grave. We have babies born not full-mast as a result of alcohol. There's a community center in the downtown east side. If you're Indigenous, you're considered an elder when you're 40 years of age. What does that tell you? So what stands today in the place of residential schools is the racist child welfare system. Only 4% of Canada's youth and children are Indigenous, yet our children comprise almost 50% of the foster care system. Today, our children in care are lost, not only to themselves, but to us, their family, and to community. Foster care is a cruel institutional reminder that they do not belong anywhere anymore. You know, when they are come of age and they are released, there is no smooth transition for them. They are just booted out of care, and they are left to navigate on their own that vulnerable transition into adulthood. Last November, a 19-year-old girl, not very far away from where I lived, was found dead in a pop-up tent. She was only 6 months out of care. The best the state could offer her for housing was a pop-up tent. The best the state, yes. And her death is not an isolated incident. A newspaper article reads, "Our children are not aging out of care now. They are dying out of care." Indigenous women, many of us fostered as children, are also, as you know, are also overrepresented in prostitution. Prostitution was never our way.